everyone. Welcome to RoboMQ's December webinar. In our previous webinars, we went over the core of identity lifecycle management through the automation of joiners, movers, and leavers, JML. While automating JML, we covered profile-driven or role-based entitlement and access assignments that are kept in line with need-to-know basis throughout the employment journey, helping us implement least privilege, which is no longer a best practice, but a baseline expectation for modern security and compliance and identity programs. With this setup in place, we now need to make sure the process, automation, and controls are working as expected to deliver the end goal of zero trust and least privilege security posture. The key to get there is governance, risk, and compliance, GRC, through mechanisms like reporting, advanced analytics, ability for incident investigation, and intelligent automation by application of machine learning and AI. This will help identity threats, entitlement sprawl, overprivileged users, and toxic entitlement and access combinations. Today we have with us Brahm Gupta, Head of Product at RoboMQ, who will walk us through the BI reporting and advanced analytics capabilities offered by Hire to Retire. He will also touch on the product roadmap, since the investment into GRC is RoboMQ's key focus for 2026. We are investing heavily into machine learning and AI to offer such capabilities in a way that does not require much effort to achieve zero trust, governance, and compliance. There will be a Q&A section following Brahm's presentation, so please ask any questions that you have in the chat, and we'll address those afterwards. With that, I will hand it over to Brahm.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Okay, guys. I'm very happy that this is the last webinar of the year. We can close it and then get into 2026. Okay, let me start with sharing my short presentation. And just like all other times, I'm not going to be focusing on the presentation itself. We'll be actually seeing the product in terms of what we have today. And then we'll also go into a detail of what we are planning to put in 2026, as Jordan mentioned, because at this point of time, we have done everything that was needed to do to get our footing or the grounding done, like the data, the Workforce 360 that I'm going to talk about, the BI engine that we have created, and then the foundation is set where we can apply the machine learning models and AI to deliver the GRC in a way we believe in the philosophy of Hire to Retire, where we believe in a philosophy where it can be self-service, least effort or investment from our end customers, and they get a lot more capabilities pre-built out of the box. At times, it can be opinionated, and that's why we also take a lot of feedback from our customers so that whatever we put in the product which is ready to go meets the need of our customers and the market that we serve in. So without further ado, I'm going to get going into the deck. So this webinar, as Jordan mentioned, we're going to talk about governance, compliance, analytics, reporting. How do you make sure that the process that you have set around joiner, mover, lever, integration, and automations are running smoothly? You have a watchdog on top of it, as well as you have alert and reporting mechanism to make sure things run right, and then move from there to achieve zero trust and least privilege security posture that each one of us aspire to go. So taking a little, going backward a little, what we have done so far, we have had a series of webinars where we cover joiner, mover, lever, and all these things in a specific focus with the end goal that the product tries to achieve of providing a superior first day at work experience, making sure HR is a source of truth for joiner, mover, lever, and which means identity, entitlement, and access assignment. Advanced role-based access control, access provisioning, or SIM gateway that we covered. And we also covered about the resource provisioning and service desk integration, which we have with 12 plus ITSM systems. And then the end goal is to avoid security and compliance risk. And that is also the goal where we are now further advancing ourselves or further making investment through what I'm going to talk today. This is what you already have, assuming all of you are either our customers or planning to be our customers, and this is the data based on what we have heard from our own customers. Most customers do reduce HR and IT workload for managing JML by 90%, with 60% cost avoidance, because yes, there's some cost of our product and so on and so forth. It's not 90% cost avoidance, but the work is reduced almost to the 90%. Given the nature of the product, which is no code, self-service, built to solve a problem and built for the purpose, this is easily achievable. With that, we have automated joiner, mover, and lever. And at this point of time, I'm gonna assume that you have this automation, right? So you have automated joiner, mover, lever. You are able to provision identities. You are able to provision role-based access control. You are able to provision entitlement, and you are able to manage them in line with the lifecycle changes, which means if my role, title, or anything changes, you are able to make the corresponding changes on the identity, entitlement, and access profile. Let's say it's all done. Now with this done, next question comes is compliance and governance. Now, why should you worry about governance, risk, and compliance? Let me put it in projection mode. Sorry, I didn't realize it. So these are some of the quotes or some of the observation from leading research or consulting companies. According to PwC, 45% of CISO report governance silos as number one obstacle to effective security. Example of silos: HR hires, managers, JML. Is it in line or is it coordinated, synced with IT? Is it aligned with the identity management and corporate security? Those kind of silos have to be broken. The second quote is 72% of the organizations experience delayed detection due to lack of governance alignment across IT, security, risk, and compliance teams. Each one of these teams have the objective to achieve the same goal, but if there's not an alignment, maybe in principle, or maybe because of not having the right tools and technologies available. Because even if we want to do something together, but we don't have the right means, mechanism, and tools which can make it happen smoothly without creating a lot of manual overhead, then alignment doesn't exist. And that's a reason for 72% of the organization, where they are not able to detect issues, detect over privilege, detect identities which still have access, even they have left. Those kind of issues create a lot of problems. The third one is from Deloitte: strong governance reduces breach cost by 30 to 50%. Rather, we should have the governance that you don't have a breach. That would be the goal for everybody to achieve. But definitely having the governance mechanism can reduce the breach cost, as well as it can reduce the probability of a breach happening. So that's really the reason why governance, risk, and compliance is important. Now jumping into the agenda, because I'm just going to lay out the agenda and then get into the product as to how we do it. So the first one is we're gonna see how we use observability to ensure IAM processes are in active compliance. And observability is a key because that's a basic core data based on which you can have analytics, you can have governance, you can have reporting, and you can have evidences for meeting the audit compliance. Second thing, value of change data capture. This is one big thing that we do. Full change data capture across the identity lifecycle management, from HR as a source of truth to the identity platform. And that captures identity, entitlement, and access. BI and feed into security, information, and event management systems like Splunk. You have too many options here. You can feed into your BI. You can feed into a SIEM tool, as well as this year, which is what I'm very excited to show you, is we have launched our add-on product, Workforce 360 Identity Cloud, which has all of this information built, ready to go, along with the visualization, reporting, and analytics that is there, and that will be the focus of our investment in 2026, as Jordan spoke in her introduction. The last is we leverage CAN compliance support for SOC 2, ISO 27001, and other security requirements. They are built into the product, ready to go. Okay, so with that, I'm going to get into the real thing, show you the demo. Okay, so we'll start with just what we have already done. What we have already done by this point is we have automated identity, access, privilege, and resource assignment. So we have covered the ground from getting the data from HR system, getting the JML events, defining the identity, defining the role-based privileges, entitlements, then using the SIM gateway that we have, we are also aligning or doing the auto provisioning to these endpoint based on the attribute-based access criteria as well as role-based access criteria. So we covered identity provisioning, we covered entitlement provisioning, we covered access provisioning, as well as something which is done through the ITSM systems, which is basically assets, resources, physical assets, and other things that organization needs, or even workflows that need to be executed to make the employee experience to extent perfect, because you walk in, you have your laptop ready, you have your assets ready, you have your entitlements ready, you have access to the SharePoint site, team sites, and everything all in place with all of that. Now we have done all of this.
It's not showing.
It's not showing on the screen? That's interesting. On my side it shows.
Okay.
No, it isn't.
Yeah,
Is it?
all I could see was your face.
Now it is.
It is? Okay. Sorry, I might have missed some part. But anyway, I didn't show anything very interesting, so let's see. So what I covered basically is that with the JML integration or integration with HR as a source of truth, using hire to retire product, we have provisioned the identity. We are able to manage the identity as people leave, join, and have change of roles. We are able to maintain and manage the entitlement of privilege in line with their role-based access control and attribute-based access control or need-to-know basis, which means who you are, based on it, we are able to assign you the entitlement. Similarly, we have covered that access is assigned in line with either your entitlements or based on your attribute-based criteria, again in line with need-to-know principle. Then we integrate with ITSM systems so that physical assets, resources, laptop, workspace, and other approvals that if somebody needs, be it for the joiner, be it for the leavers, or be it for the movers, that can be fully automated and integrated. Now with the stage set, now the question comes about, okay, everything is set up, it should work, is it working? That question is answered by the observability. So anytime our product is going to process any event, joiner, mover, or leaver, any of these events, it's going to capture the event, what happened, and in addition to it, it will capture the change data capture. So it will capture the change data, and that's what I highlighted in the agenda. So let's look at what happened. So these are the events which happened. It will have all the details about what activities were performed and so on. And then in addition to it, it will have the full change data capture, which means we will capture what we got from HR systems. We will capture how did it lead to transformation or change into the identity profile, your previous value of the identity profile and the new value of the identity profile. And you can also see specifically what changed. And then we'll look at what entitlements were added, removed, or retained, or how did the entitlement of privilege change, and do it for all the entitlements that are managed by us. So we have this full change data capture and the observability. Now what you can do with it, multiple things. You can always export this data based on whatever search criteria you put in, but more importantly is the schedule report. So you can schedule a report which can be run anytime of your choice, and it will tell you what happened, what events were processed, and what was the change data capture. Now the use case of this is making sure the process that you have set up for automation is working as expected. You can get a data set from HR system. Okay, these were the joiner, mover, and leaver events happen, and then look at this data coming from hire to retire report and see where they done correctly, where they done timely. Was the activation of a new hire happen timely? Did they get the access and privilege? Did the termination execute correctly? Did all the privileges were removed? All of that observability and making sure the automation is working as expected can be done from here. Now, with this, the other thing that I wanted to highlight before I get into the BI part of it, we also have this reconciliation capability. It's a little more nuanced and detailed, but essentially what it provides you a view into how much data I received or how many events did I receive from HR system and how did hire to retire work on it. Because sometimes you might receive an event from HR system, like I can pick up one of the example here. Okay, so let's see this one. So we got the data from HR system, but not every event from it led to a change in identity system, because change in HR doesn't mean change in identity system. Change in identity system will be determined based on how you have configured your workflow, because sudden changes in HR may or may not impact the change in identity or IT. So this gives you a reconciliation high level view of, okay, how many events we got, how many changes happened on HR, and which of these led to change on the identity, which did not. So you get that reconciliation, and then you get the observability. Now with observability at our focus, we jump to what else can be done. So one thing you can do is you can push this observability data into your endpoints like S3, MySQL, Azure Blob, where you can build your own reports, you can build your own analytics, or you can also push it to the SIEM tools like Splunk, because most of these tools or all of these tools use one of these data store types as a source of the data. We can push the data there, and they can ingest the data, and it can provide you security information and event management capabilities. Now, the BI part is little interesting, and interesting why I say is that it's an investment on your side to put it in place. And a lot of the customers that we serve are in mid-market, 200 to 3,000 employees companies, and it's an extra effort work that they have to do to get the BI in place. And sometimes it is not a priority, because most of our customers are not more focused on the operational capability than building an BI. So to address that problem, this year what we did is we onboarded all of that information into our own product, and we have provided this add-on product. Now what it does is, it will get the change data capture that I was talking about, and I looked at it in the observe page. The full change data capture that we get, it's gonna push it into this BI database that we manage. Now, once that data is there, it gets the entitlement data, it gets the identity data, and it also has the HR data. In addition to it, what it will also do is it will get the AD data or identity data, be it AD, Okta, Entra ID, or Google Workspace. It will get that data pulled into the platform, so that changes done outside of the JML process or outside of the automation that is done by hire to retire are also captured in, because there may be somebody who might manually update the account, or you might have another system which does update the identity account, and we should not be blindsided by it. So we pull that data, overlay that data on top of the change data capture that we have, and we have the full data set that we need. So here there are two views of it. One is identity-centric and one is entitlement-centric. So if we get into the identity-centric view, you see all the employees in the company. You can always apply advanced filters, which could be date range-based, or you can use criteria which is coming from identity data. You can use identity attributes, you can use HR attributes, as well as you can use the entitlement attributes, like who has access to this distribution list. That could be a criteria. Or who was hired in last 3 months. That could be a criteria. Or who is part of this division, or who reports to this manager. That could be a criteria. So you can filter, slice, dice the data the way you want. And then of course we have this popular searches, which we continue to add on to it. Now, when you look into any of these profiles, so if you get into the profile, the interesting thing is that it's not just the state of the identity, which you can always look at the Entra ID or AD. It captures a timeline view of the identity, which means how did the profile in terms of HR profile, in terms of identity profile, and in terms of the entitlement profile changed through the employment life cycle or employment journey of an employee. So I got hired, I had a profile, something changed, I have a change. I got promoted, I have a change. I got terminated, of course, that's a change. So we capture the full life cycle, and this data is kept in the database where you can visualize it, see it, and make use of it as I'm showing here. The second view is the entitlement-centric view. Here we answer the question, who is a member of certain entitlements? So for example, who is a member of certain security group? You also get the answer to question, when did they become members of this security group, as well as what did drive or what was the event or what was the cause that made them become the member of this security group. Very important from the perspective of the incident investigation, because entitlements are the key to people having certain privileges as well as people having access in a well-structured organizations of the access to certain systems and applications should ideally be driven by the entitlement, because entitlement is a ticket to get access, right? So if you think that way, you can do the analysis of investigation and things. If there was a breach or there was an incident, you want to see who is the member, when did this person got the membership, and why. So those questions can be answered. Again, the similar capability of applying the filters and applying the popular searches that is available there. Now, the last but not the least are the reports. And this is very important. I mean, we have the full capability. You can run the report, you can see the reports, you can schedule the report, and there's a whole library of reports available here. Now, what we have done for the starter this year, we have added these reports, which are some of the most common reports that you would need if you want to meet some compliance. So, for example, SOC 2, HIPPA, I mean, these two certifications we know very, very well because we are SOC 2 Type 2, as well as we are HIPPA High-Tech Business Associate certified. So we help you meet those reporting or auditing requirements for SOC 2, HIPAA, and other NIST, cybersecurity standards, SOX, ISO 27001, etc. And the common reports are like, it's a very typical report to provide a list of all the employees who were hired during the review period. But it is just not just the list, because you can get it from the HR system also. It's a list of all the employees who were hired, what happened to identity, what happened to privilege, and so on. So it will provide the full change data capture. Okay, during the review period, we hired these many people. Was the hiring done timely? Did they get role-based access control? Did they have certain access which was or system access like Salesforce, ServiceNow, etc., which was based on their privilege or based on their role? Similarly, the terminated employees report, which is very critical, right? Where the employees terminated timely, was the access removed, what happened? All of that detail using the change data capture that we keep in there, we can provide it for the promoted employees, change of role employees, the current employees, and so on. And this is a big area of growth, and we want to invest into more and more of the canned report in line with our philosophy that our customers should be able to provide the evidence for these by just running a report and give it to the auditor. And you are able to say that I have a identity and access management process or the IGA platform in place, which does my identity lifecycle management. So here's the process, which you can always show by going to the overview page of the product, and you can show them, okay, this is my English version of the workflow that I have modeled. And then you provide these reports as evidence saying, okay, I have a process in place which is running, and this is the evidence to show that it is running as expected, which is essentially any of the audits. This is the philosophy. Auditors want to know you have a process in place, you have a documented process, you're following it, and show me the evidence that it is working. And that is what the reporting capabilities that we have here using the Workforce 360 data is going to provide. So with this, I think I've shown you most of the capabilities that we have today on the product, but this is also a big area of investment that we are making in 2026. So I'm going to get into the details of what is on the roadmap. Let me share the slides. Can you guys see it? Not yet. Yeah, because the problem with this, there's a certain amount of delay in the webinar system, and it takes a time. So I'm going to start talking upon it. So most important thing, the database that I showed you, the BI Workforce 360 that I showed you is the core. That data is the most important. Now we have that data in place. Our goal is to provide more visualization, a specialized report, as well as apply machine learning and AI. More machine learning, less AI, I would say it, because AI, when I talk of AI, I talk of AI. AI is really this generative AI. There's some use cases of generative AI, but there's a lot more use cases in the identity data for the machine learning algorithm. So these are the roadmap items. So first one is canned reports for compliance and audits targeted to specific audit standards. We want to go to the level where we'll say, okay, for SOC 2, it is CC 112 reports, which means SOC 2 asks you to provide this particular report, and the report is here. Just the ease of use so that you know which one to use for what compliance, for the HIPAA and so on and so forth. That's going to be continuous area of investment that we're going to do. Second thing is machine learning assisted peer-based entitlement assignment. This solves a classic problem where everybody wants to implement RBAC. The problem is the rules around RBAC are tribal knowledge, not well managed, not understood or agreed across the enterprise. People know why it is done. People know who should get with privilege, but the rules are not unearthed, discovered, and documented. And it hinders the ability to put role-based access control in place, even with our product. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using machine learning model to say, okay, if you are someone joining the organization or you are being promoted into the new role, based on your peers who have certain access, what should be the access prediction? And of course, we're not going to give everything that some overprivileged employee has. There's going to be algorithm to be the least permissive, most permissive, or most predicted or recommended. So using the machine learning and statistics will get there to suggest what should be the privilege. So it will ease the workload of making sure that the role-based access control are in place. In line with the above, we are also not going to just use this machine learning based algorithm to assign privileges. We'll also use it for continuous evaluation and alert. So the system will always, like on a weekly basis or something, it will evaluate all the existing employees and place them into how they stand with respect to the peers, detect the anomalies, and alert it. So that there's a feedback mechanism for the continuous correction of the group or your identity data and entitlement data. Because if we don't do it, we're going to make decision based on the bad data. And if you make a decision based on bad data, what you get? Bad result. So it's a continuous feedback or looping mechanism to correct the data so that the ML-assisted peer-based entitlement gets better and better. It's going to be not a one-day activity. It's going to be continuous activity which will take us to a better state. We will also be adding identification of overprivileged and toxic entitlements. They always exist. Unfortunately, the mechanism to discover them is typically not there in organization, and it takes a lot of effort. And they generally remain unseen till they become a problem, till they become a breach. So that is the activity we're going to do it. Advanced visualization and pattern detection, in line with, machine learning algorithm, will be able to say, okay, what is a peer group, how they cluster together, within a cluster, how are the entitlements spread, are there outliers, who are the outliers? So a lot of that visualization and pattern detection, and again, the most investment is going to happen on the UI and other capabilities so that we don't make it a big job to do. Rather, we make it as easy as possible so that you can visualize and act on it. Easier the visualization, easier the information, more distill the information, it is more effective to take the action because our end goal is to take action and we'll provide capabilities around it. Then we are also going to do, other than the regular access certification that most organizations do on a 6-monthly, yearly, or a quarterly basis, we'll also have a capability for continuous or proactive access certification, where upon detection of certain patterns, we will alert the manager or the entitlement or the application owner to approve it. So that you're not just waiting for 6 months, because breach doesn't happen timing with the access certification. It can happen anytime. So we're going to provide capabilities for the continuous access certification. And then there's an enhancement to role mining capabilities. We already have role mining capabilities, but we're going to provide a lot more UI and ease of use on those capabilities so that we can mine the data available in your identity platform, be able to suggest a rule, and have a mechanism that once the model has suggested that somebody who is a sales manager gets access to these privileges, and what is the probability, what is the distribution, how many of the peers do get it, will be able to make suggestion and provide a mechanism where you can accept the suggestion. So as we learn, we detect the pattern, and then eventually will allow a mechanism so that these patterns detected and agreed upon can become the rules in your role-based access control. Something that everybody want to do, but given the nature and the complexity of it, it is difficult to do. And our machine learning capabilities will make it easy. It will be able to make suggestions that within your organization, this is how things work. This is how the access and entitlements are assigned. Do you accept it? If you accept it, you have unearthed a rule or discovered a rule. Now you can just implement it by click of a button. So that will be the enhancement to the role mining capabilities. And with that, I'm at the end of my presentation. Hopefully you liked it, and I'm open to the questions that might have popped up. Jordan, back.
Perfect. Yeah, we do have some questions that came in. So the first one I'm going to address, because we were just on the machine learning side of things. Could you tell us a little bit more about the peer-based group assignments and the machine learning-driven evaluation?
So the peer-based assignment, if we think in simple human terms, like if we look at how, if you don't have an IGA platform like us, and if you have a new hire, what happens is most of the sysadmin, what they will do is they'll say, okay, the new person joined, he or she reports to this manager, works in this department, has this title. Based on these basic information that they get from the HR system, they will try to find someone who is very close to this profile. Or maybe the manager of the HR will tell, oh, this person is like this person. John is joining, John is like Adam. The sysadmin will take the profile of Adam and create the identity as well as privilege for John. It will change few things, but that's kind of the how most people work today. This is how humans work. What we are trying to do is, using the machine learning models, we are trying to mimic this behavior. But when we are mimicking this behavior, unlike a human, computer can do faster calculation, right? So instead of looking at one Adam for John, we are looking at multiple Adam, Mary, Joanne, and so on, and trying to determine what should be the entitlement. And that can be further fine-tuned by certain algorithms like least privilege, most privilege, get to a 60% confidence level as to what are the entitlement that 60% of the people in this group have. So those kind of things will be there in place to assign the entitlement and access. And the same mechanism will be applied for the continuous evaluation of existing employees.
Great, thank you. Another one is, does Workforce 360, does it keep the identity data even after it's deleted in Active Directory or Entra ID?
Yes, it does. It keeps the data forever. So even if you, after the aging, you delete an account, that account information will be available on our site. It will of course show that it's a deleted account, but it will be there. And it will also sync the last state, or it will be on a daily basis, will be syncing the state from Active Directory. So if there have been any other changes, they will also be incorporated.
Great. Now, is Workforce 360 a core part of your licensing, or is this an add-on?
It is an add-on, and we design it to be an independent add-on. So even if you don't have Workforce 360, your core operational capability of lifecycle management, identity, entitlement, and access provisioning, and resource provisioning, observability, and other things will be available. But this is an add-on component which will keep the data. Right now, we keep the observability data for 90 days. That's a guaranteed. So now with Workforce 360, we'll keep this data forever, provide this BI capability, and on top of the BI capability, provide the insights, analytics, and reporting. So it's an add-on component on top of iDoIt.
Another question was, we use a combination of ABAC and RBAC. Does it work? Would that work for us?
Yes. We support ABAC and RBAC equally and fully throughout the product, because if we understand a little lower, RBAC is a two-step process, ABAC is a single-step process. So in case of our SIM gateway, for example, when you are signing, let's say, licenses, or you're provisioning into Salesforce, you can choose one of the approach. You can say, okay, I'm going to give the Salesforce license to somebody who's part of a Salesforce users group. That's a RBAC. Or I can do the assignment if your title is Sales Manager, department is Sales, and so on and so forth, which is ABAC. But in order for me to get you to the RBAC of Sales user, I'll again use the ABAC, because based on your attribute profiles, you'll be given the membership, and then that membership will give you access. So it's a two-step process versus one-step process. I know the industry or most of the identity people prefer the RBAC two-step process, but we support both of them equally.
And I think the last one we have is, can governance controls be applied to existing access?
Yes. Everything applies based on the Workforce 360 data. Workforce 360 data will have all the information about the identities. There's a little bit of caveat here that the change data capture that I've been talking about is only there from the time you are using hire to retire core product, because before the accounts that were created before hire to retire went live, we will not have the change data capture because we were not there. But we'll still have the identity and entitlement information that we are taking it in every day, and based on it, we'll be able to apply the governance analytics. I think we'll be able to do everything. There'll be a little bit of nuances because of change data capture when you try to drill down into the lowest level of details, but at the higher level, everything should be on parity.
Awesome. And there's a last question that just came in. Is there a certain size of the type of organization that this tool would work best for, or?
So we have built a tool targeted at the mid-market. So our sweet spot is 200 to 3,000 employees. And why I say that we have built it for this target customer base is this is a size of the market which want to do a lot of things on the identity governance, administration, and these capabilities. And as the world is evolving, these capabilities are becoming more and more required. At the same time, the cost, skills, and tools are expensive. So alternatives could be, you can get a lot deeper governance capability. You can go for SailPoint, Saviynt, and Omada. But the problem is the total cost of the ownership. You have to have a skilled team of information security architects and analysts in-house, because these are very powerful, capable, but at the same time, they require a lot of investment and configuration to make them work for what you need, as well as these products are expensive. So that is the alternative you have. What we have done is we have built our product where you don't need that kind of skill set because it's easy to use, built with an opinionated design, which tries to solve the problem for most of the market in the mid-market, as well as self-service, no code, no scripting. You just use the product capabilities which are offered as it is. So I would say this will work for this market because we are built for it. Now, do you need it? Is a question on where you are on your identity journey, where you are on the security journey, how much compliant you want to become, and what value does it add to you. I'll love to sell this to you, but at the same time, you need to see what value does it add to you. Most people it does because I think the cost justification is a little difficult when compared to the hire to retire course, because when we sell and our salespeople, two of them are sitting here, they have an ROI model. They can say, okay, if you have these many identities and we automate JML, you'll spend this much time to do it manually versus you do it with our product, and there's a straight cost saving, which is around 55 to 65% for most customers. When it comes to governance and compliance, the cost is not that direct because it is the cost of a possible security breach. It is the cost of the reputation that you might lose in the industry and the market if something bad happens. So I think it's a lot more personal and a lot more individual how you quantify the risk. And that quantification of the risk is an answer whether I need this product or not.
Great. Thanks, Ram. So that looks like it was the last question that we had come in for today. Now, if any other questions do come up after, sitting through this webinar, please feel free to reach out to us directly, and we can definitely get you answers to those. But I guess we can give you a couple minutes back in your day. And we want to thank you for your time and joining us today and wish you a happy holidays. And we would love to see you on our next webinar in 2026. So thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one. Happy New Year.